This is Kayla. She's a video editor on Fiverr, a platform for freelance services. Kayla will make an attention-grabbing social media video for your business, and you'll never know when she's drinking a smoothie, unlike Beth. Expand your team with a Fiverr freelancer.
Glad y'all like the new music. Get this one out the way. So yeah. And let the show begin. What's up, everybody? High thinking here, right? Again, definitely a late stream. Um, did spend a lot of time today editing and editing and editing. Good news is I am 3 weeks ahead on content, and things will start rolling extremely shortly. As far as my content, oh, here we go with these lights again. All right, come on, other one. You can do it, buddy. Is it? I know it's not dead already. That'd be crazy, bruh. There we go. And then, there we go. All right, bam. Yeah, so I'm 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Content will be rolling out extremely soon. I'm talking starting Monday. Definitely got some dope stuff ahead, man. My first video is gonna be my introductory video, my "Hello, my name is" video, right? Um, it's going to basically tackle the mission statement of my channel. There's gonna be some dope scenes, some dope shots from my good friend Young Bullet, guy I used to do learned a lot from. We used to went to the same school, went to the same college, studied under the same martial arts master. Definitely gonna have him on one day and kind of talk about that type of stuff. Yeah, there'll be definitely be guests on this channel. There'll definitely be guests here, and definitely be guests here, and definitely a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to learn also. But yeah, it's man, definitely proud of this one. Um, Pretty much gonna be like the best, most likely gonna be the one that pretty much the best video I done edited and for a while. Until another big project comes around. Um, Otherwise, yeah, there's not much going on. I streamed last week, streaming today. I definitely worked out a pretty um steady schedule, or I planned out a pretty steady schedule. Um, I will most likely share this on my community tab on YouTube, but it basically goes a little something like Sunday here. I will be streaming. I will be streaming on Sundays, typically around noon. I would say between noon and 1, maybe 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock at the latest. I'm kind of gonna just play around with those numbers, with those times, until I kind of get a good gauge as far as who views what at what time, right? But I think Sunday is the best time for me to stream this stuff, this podcast. Um, Otherwise, Monday will be my editing day. Tuesday I will release a short. Wednesday I will either release a short or a full length video that will likely go over some of the stuff that some of the highlights of my stream or the podcast. Thursday will be Thursday will either be that same video if I didn't post it Tuesday, Wednesday, yeah, or it will be another short. Friday will be another short. Saturday, I'm not ready to talk about Saturday yet, but something will definitely be happening on Saturdays. We will talk about, but again, that's a surprise. Otherwise, yeah, we got a decent show today. I will be continuing my campaign of reacting to Dr. Claud Anderson's YouTube channel. I'm still gonna be that's still gonna be a big thing. What we got going on here? Yeah, like I said, we are definitely continuing Dr. Claud Anderson stuff, and let's get that pulled up. Yeah. So let's check this out, man. Blocked opportunities.
This is a special channel. Unlike
We ain't got no audio, huh? No audio. Hold on. Strange.
any other channel. We're not a fake channel.
No audio.
But the Bible
What's up, brother? What up, Diggs? I got an audio problem, man.
says
Let's see here.
things that you are admonished to do is to first get knowledge.
Hey,
But more
anybody in
importantly,
the chat,
get
can you hear the
understanding.
video?
When you
I'm
come
not
to this
restarted.
channel, you get some of both. We give you everything you need to know about race matters,
I can't hear that
from the
joke at all on
history
my end.
in the old days, 460 years ago, up until the present time, where daily events appear in the newspaper and on television. Come here and get it straight. There's no drinking
Mic
like
check, mic
alcohol
check.
with
This
fake
is working.
fillers in
It
it.
is audio.
You
So
get
you
it
can hear the
straight
audio, but I
without
can't
the
hear the audio.
fillers.
That's crazy.
And but again, I have to tell you, we say nothing that we hopefully would be race-based. We try to simply tell the truth as we know it. So come here to this channel and get the real scoop on the YouTube channel, Connecting the Dots with Dr. Claud Anderson. Now today, we're going to talk about something I think is very important to you, but there's so much to say about it that I'm going to put it into two parts. Let's start off with part one.
Wow.
Hey.
I do something good for you. One moment, please.
And I'm going to give you about at least 10 to 20 things that are very important to black folks to know in solving race
My
matters.
bad. I don't know.
These are the
I've never- this has
devices
never
used to
happened before.
maintain the racial status quo in this country.
So we're gonna start from the beginning.
This is a special channel, unlike any other channel. We're not a fake channel. But the Bible says things that you are admonished to do
I don't even.
is to first get knowledge.
All right, this
But
is
more
may
importantly,
not
get
work,
understanding. When you come to this channel, you get some of
I'm
both.
gonna have to,
We
I'm
give
gonna
you
figure out
everything
this
you need to
audio real
know
quick,
about
so
race
just-
matters,
I'm gonna-
from the history in the old days,
I'm gonna take a break
460
for a
years
brief
ago,
moment while
up until
I
the
figure out
present
this
time,
audio
where
and shit.
daily
I'm not
events
gonna be able to
appear in the
stream like this.
newspaper
Just give me a
and on
moment, y'all.
television. Come here and get it straight. There's no drinking like alcohol with fake fillers in it. You get it straight without the fillers. And but again, I have to tell you, we say nothing that we hopefully would be race-based. We try to simply tell the truth as we know it. So come here to this channel and get the real scoop on the YouTube channel, Connecting the Dots with Dr. Claud Anderson. Now today, we're going to talk about something I think is very important to you, but there's so much to say about it that I'm going to put it into two parts. Let's start off with part one. And I'm going to give you about at least 10 to 20 things that are very important to Black folks to know in solving race matters. These are the devices used. This is a special channel, unlike any other channel. We're not a fake channel. When the Bible says,
And now that shit was muted. Oh man! All right, from the top, from the top. Yeah, we're back. We're back. I figured out audio issues and stuff like that. Start from the top.
this is a special channel, unlike any other channel. We're not a fake channel. When the Bible says things that you are admonished to do is to first get knowledge, but more importantly, get understanding. When you come to this channel, you get some of both. We give you everything you need to know about race matters, from the history in the old days, 460 years ago, up until the present time, where daily events appear in the newspaper and on television. Come here and get it straight. There's no drinking like alcohol with fake fillers in it. You get it straight without the fillers.
Yes, sir. So basically, what I was trying to say was, much like Dr. Claud Anderson's channel, our channel is gonna be facts, straight, right, straight from credible sources, right. That's the goal at the very least. But what I was trying to say, what the message I was trying to get across was, Dr. Claud Anderson, him being in his early 80s, I'm pretty sure he more or less as established as he's gonna get. I like to assume so. I'm pretty sure he's leaving some. He could be doing some little bit of a little extra bread is going towards the maybe his kids or something like that, or maybe the establish some maybe generate some revenue for whatever cause he deems fit. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the information gathered on his channel, right, is not. This is not the type of stuff that's like that you can really profit off of, right? You're not like the things that he's talking about on his channel. This is not the stuff that like that's gonna hit mainstream like news and stuff like that. It's not gonna hit mainstream too much anything for that matter. Like he's been doing this his entire life, and like literally a lot of people haven't even heard his name before, especially like I want to say the first couple of times I experienced some of this stuff, I literally like my initial reaction was like, yo, what if this dude was as big as Dr. King in his 60s or 20, 30, 40 years ago or whatever? What if this guy was as big as Malcolm X? What if his platform was like just as impactful as those brothers, right? Things would be going in a completely different direction. And he has some very provocative ideas, right? But I think those provocative ideas would have led us not, and I don't mean just black people, to be honest. I mean like everyone as a whole. These provocative ideas he have will literally give us better solutions and better results than we are currently sitting at right now. Yeah, assassinate. Yeah, protect Dr. Anderson at all costs is what have been, which should have been like the hashtag in the 70s. But yeah. Don't let our warriors perish. Right, keep them protected at all costs. But yeah, let's see what's going on in this video, man. Black Opportunities Part 1. I don't know how many parts there are, but we definitely gonna go through all of them.
And but again, I have to tell you, we say nothing that we hopefully would be race-based. We try to simply tell the truth as we know it.
There you go. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Like a lot of people that's gonna watch his stuff may get triggered, right? And like, man, this dude seems to be he's black focused, black, racist and all that stuff. Like, it's gonna be a whole lot of stuff you're gonna hear that might make you clench your pearls and stuff, right? But at the same time, what he's saying is just outright, just straight factual. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like it's not even the fact of him being pro-black, right? It's just him being completely honest and transparent about the actual about the situation of how bad it was for blacks throughout his life and in the past. He has you see it, he's going in the scripture, so he's actually digging into things that's post that predates, like, slavery in America or black people's history in America.
So come here to this channel and get the real scoop.
Yes, sir.
On the YouTube channel, Connecting the Dots with Dr. Claud Anderson. Now today, we're going to talk about something I think is very important to you, but there's so much to say about it that I'm going to put it into two parts. Let's start off with part one.
Two parts.
And I'm going to give you about at least 10 to 20 things that are very important to black folks to know in solving race matters. These are the devices used to maintain the racial status quo in this country. So let's get about it. Let's start with the first thing. What's the first thing they do to make sure that black folk stay in an underclass position, just as you were doing slavery and Jim Crow semi-slavery? Give me the number one thing they would do. First thing they would do is this. They always use very broad and ambiguous headings or terms to confuse black folk, to mislead them, to misdirect them, so they won't know what's going on. Now, this is not an accident. This was first created and used and implemented in 1789, when they were drafting the United States Constitution. And they met up in Philadelphia and said, we're going to craft a constitution, and but what we're going to do is create a new democracy. We're going to attract people from around the world to come here for new opportunities and new freedoms and new rights. But to do that, we got a problem. How we're going to do that at the same time our purpose is in building this country is to use black people and their labor to do it. If we craft a constitution that says we are the cradle of democracy, wouldn't we be hypocritical if we say we're going to build a nation with freedom and opportunities for everyone, at the same time we're preparing ourselves to enslave millions of black folk? And so what they did in the Philadelphia meeting, they closed the doors, pulled the shades, put guards on the doors, and said, we got to come up with a scheme on how we're going to best do this. And finally, after a week of talking, discussing, debating the issue about how to craft a constitution, the first constitution of the United States, at the same time, use it as a basis for enriching immigrants coming to America. How are they going to do that? They said, here's what we'll do. In the Constitution, we use two kinds of language. We'll have some terms, broad terms we use that specify and particular to whites. We use other terms that will be specifically designed to identify blacks or the black slaves. That's what into the Constitution. And then if you read the Constitution, most people don't understand that ambiguous language and broad terms and how they're being used to maintain race matters. That's the first device they use. So what they would say in the Constitution is says things like this: we the people. When they talk about we the people in the Constitution, that signifies it's for white people.
Okay.
When they say all the people, they're talking about white people. When they say American citizens, they're talking about whites. When they say all people got a God-given right, they're talking about whites. And when they get to black folk, they have different language. How was the language spelled out? They use very broad and ambiguous terms like this. When they say, well, let's talk about black folk, what we say is that those who are indebted.
I'm going to make a bold statement and say that doing a TEDx talk is going to be the most transformative and uplifting experience.
Shut up.
Those who are in bondage, those who are property, those who are 3/5 of a human being, those who are non-citizens, those that specific kind of property, and those who are equal to a field animal, and those who are 3/5, as I said, those individuals they're talking about are black people. They're slaves. But it's so smoothly put into the Constitution that most people don't pick it up. And that's why in our civil rights movement in the 1960s, and I heard blacks out saying, we got our constitutional rights and we are here
So you thought.
to ask this country to deliver on those rights that were spelled out in the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution didn't spell out any rights for black folk. It was strictly and solely for whites. And but I want you to understand that those broad ambiguous terms were put into the first Constitution, and they did the same thing when they wrote the second Constitution. And the second Constitution came out of the 1857 Dred Scott decision, which says a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. And but they used that language again when they wrote the second Constitution in 1861, because to pick up where the Dred Scott decision left off. When slavery had ended, you had a few very liberal white congressmen or radical white Republicans who says, we got to do something for black folk. And so we're going to write a second part of that Constitution, because the first Constitution was covered by Amendments 1 through 12. Let's write an additional Constitution to let's call it 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment and civil rights laws. They wrote those specifically and solely for black folk. But in doing that, they tried their best to try to broaden those terms, analyze those broad terms that were in the first Constitution and be more specific. And they put some of them in that 13th, and 14th, and 15th Amendment. And they did still use a few broad terms because the radical, non-radical Republicans were opposed to them trying to free black folk, because you see the South needed black folks again.
In case you didn't know, the radical Republicans were those that were Republicans. They were white men also, with ironically black mistresses that were actually enacting or at least fighting for on the behalf of black people, right? I don't know. I think Dr. Anderson will go over some of the things that they contributed towards legislation for Black Americans. But the interesting thing is, and you're going to learn more. You are going to learn more about this on this channel. Is that these radical Republicans all had something in common. They had black mistresses. So it's interesting that even when like it was so like times back then, like we were, how do I word this? We were so tight knit as a people back then, due to our, what's that word, that phrase rather, trauma bonding. The trauma bonding the trauma bonding back then was so strong amongst the black community that we actually did things like how do I word this? In the event that, well, a politician were to find himself a African American mistress, right, or a black mistress, he would that young lady, right, she would essentially get in his ear, about black rights and black issues, right? So that meant it was a bit of an exchange. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? It was like an exchange as far as the sexual, the what he what a mistress is, right? You know what they do. And in exchange for those services, right? She was offered an ear on behalf of black people, right? So, really hard to explain. It's really, but like, it sounds really weird, but that's how strong, that's how bad it was back then for black folk, that we had to resort to that level of negotiating. You know what I'm saying? To get things done, to at least get some attention. You know what I'm trying to say? So, that was a tough one, trying to avoid people's sympathies. How do we go? There we go.
To re-enslave them in the South under peonage and Jim Crow segregation. But they wrote the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment and the civil rights laws using those sort of semi-broad terms. But then later on, the Supreme Court then justified making those things even broaden them even more by saying, yes, those amendments is in there, but don't worry about it. It's for everybody. And the rule in politics is anything that's for everybody is not for anybody. So whenever you hear anybody in politics and economics in our race-based society using very broad, ambiguous terms like minorities, poor folk, people of color, multicultural, diversity, they are using terms to make sure that nothing happens specifically and solely for black folk. They use those terms to keep black folk down and to keep them out. So anytime any politician in economic programs or policies or in political policies use those very broad, ambiguous terms without being specific about correcting the dilemmas of black folk in America, you're being sandbagged.
Yeah. So, yeah, and which is also a problem too. A lot of people like the idea of America doing things for the people in general, indiscriminately, right? We all like the idea of inclusion. We don't like things like gatekeeping, right? And that, for the most part, is agreeable. You know, it is agreeable to want. How do I word this? It is agreeable to want things for everybody to get their share. You know what I mean? To everybody get a piece of the pie, if you will. There's just a caveat to that. There's just one problem to that. It is there's some things that specific groups need way more than other groups. You know what I'm trying to say? So let's say group A, right, is as a unit, like as a group, they are performing very, very poorly, right? And it's not just because of like their own work ethic and stuff like that. There's things that kind of happen that place them in a position, right? So picture a group B that is also we'll just say it right now. Then picture a group B coming to the picture, right? And they're overperforming, right? They're making money. Their communities are thriving. They're getting good education. Like they're essentially doing as good as any other group in this plot of land in America, right? So now picture a group C, right? Group C is pretty much is doing, they pretty much put everything in place. Like they're doing like the best in America or whatever. Sure. So, but the thing is, Group C is so good that they acknowledge that they don't need any help, right? So they exclude themselves out of affirmative action. They exclude themselves out of other anything that regards anything that says the word minorities or impoverished, whatever, right? Color folk, whatever. Non-whites, whatever, right? All of that stuff. They exclude themselves out of government assistance, right? Now, everybody else, Group A and Group B, right, and any other group that I didn't mention, are getting these government handouts, are getting this help, right? But the thing is, Group A needs the help more than any other group, right? Group B is doing just fine. They don't need this. They don't need these handouts and stuff like that. However, they are getting the handouts anyway, right? So, so instead of focusing on the group that needs the help more than anybody, the help is being spread out amongst all communities, no matter how bad or how good those groups of people are kind of setting in, right? Basically what I'm explaining to you is how equity works. So, I like the idea of equity. It has its flaws here and there, but in reference to this, it's kind of necessary. So, but what Dr. Claud Anderson is saying is, Group A, which would be blacks, if you couldn't tell already. Group A is in such a borderline desolate state that we not only need the help that's allowed it to all other groups that are non-white, that classify as a minority, all that other stuff. Not only do we need that, we also need what's arguably owed to us, was arguably stripped from our forefathers that contributed towards our lack of generational wealth, which also contributed to us pretty much being stuck in these ghettos and stuck in the desolate state that we're currently set in. Which most likely, which lends to the title of this video, blocked opportunities. So let's go further and see what else he has to say.
Do not, and you tell them, no, we're not going for that. Anything that's coming down the road for black folk must be very specific. Do not let them use the old game that they use in the Philadelphia Convention by using these very broad, ambiguous terms. You say it's like a fish. You fillet it, open it up, and say, what's inside of minorities? What is a minority? Open it up, let's see what's inside of it. Or what's in people? How can black folk be people of color? Make them be specific. Mm-hmm. And don't accept those very broad, ambiguous terms. That's the first advice they use to make sure nothing changed for black folk in the country and stay just as it was in slavery and in Jim Crow semi-slavery.
Yes, sir.
What's the second thing they use to maintain the status quo in black? Second term, they use this whole myth about a colorblind society. Oh. There is no such thing as a colorblind society. That term was never used until about 1896 in the Plessy v. Ferguson decision with Johnson.
Yeah, colorblind society. It's like, I want to say the reason I will never believe in like this colorblind society is simply because not everybody is going to be colorblind. Not everybody in positions of power will be colorblind. We can instill like different types of affirmative, things like affirmative action or equal opportunity, employment, and all that stuff. We can put these things in place that make it look like that we're taking steps towards progressiveness. However, that's just not the sentiments of everybody that's in power. Right. And those are the ones that make the decisions. Those are the ones that give the opportunities to the people. Those are the ones that actually provide the opportunities to everybody. So, yes, we can advertise ourselves as being this colorblind society and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is not everybody is on board and not everybody will ever be on board. So it's good. It's better to, instead of playing this make-believe game that everybody is treated equally in America, let's instead focus more so on different opportunities or different strategies that kind of accommodates a possibility that people may drift away from this idea of absolute progressiveness of this this colorblind society.
State Supreme Court. And they used it. That was the first time that word "people of color" was used, or being colorblind. And so they tried to use that to try to justify, again. That's what I like to say, baby. Oh man, no, I won't be not doing anything specifically for black folk. But one of the members of the Supreme Court, Justice Harum, says that this nation should be.
Like, come on, man. Why do they do that, bro? Why are we making commercials where they making video games that people just farting just to mess up guys like me?
It should be a colorblind society. And but that was just a hypothetical situation he was proposing. Everybody knew that this country is always very color specific. Always color specific. They knew exactly who they were enslaving. They knew what color they were when they enslaved them. They knew they were blacks.
And that's just the thing, man. It's so weird, dude. Like, we're doing this idea of like colorblind society and like equal opportunities for everybody and stuff like that. which is like it's all fine and dandy and stuff like that. But bro, this nation was built off of slave labor. You know what I'm saying? Slave labor that was never paid out. It just never happened. So with that said, right, us changing the rules and making like these making the following services of this pseudo practice of redistribution of wealth. I'm talking about taxes. With us practicing this idea of like pseudo redistribution of wealth via taxes, it's like it's kind of it'd be you think it'd be fair to like kind of pay out the people that built the nation. You know what I'm saying? That contribute greatly into building a nation that were never paid back. You know. But instead, we're giving this money to everybody. You know, instead of focusing on the people that greatly are impacted by the literal robbing or stripping away of their ancestors' blood, hard-earned labor, or the benefits of their hard-earned labor. So, I mean, like I said, I like that. Again, man, I love the idea of like people helping people. I do understand. I do appreciate the concept and sentiments of humanitarianism, like just helping people because they're humans. You're right, but bro, there's just some things we've been ignoring. America as a nation has been ignoring that. It shouldn't be that way. And I really feel like it's an actual shame. Oops.
But somehow they convince black folk to say, be colorblind, pretend that you can't see color. And that way you'll never solve the problems because they knew.
And it's like I said, man, we can't pretend we're colorblind when there's just so much happening directly to us. We can acknowledge what's happening to everybody else, which is good, which is what we should be doing, which we shouldn't forget, right? We need to be empathetic. But at the same time, everybody need to be empathetic towards our issues also.
Knew what color they use to enslave you. They got to know what color to use and pick and choose when coming out. But black folk go for it. So consequently, that is a device that's regularly used in all levels of media to keep black folk in the status quo position of being an underclass. Mm-hmm. Another third thing they use is they try to also capture and push back, take away your black leadership. In America right now in 2019, we have absolutely no black leadership of any substance. We had a few during history, starting off initially. We had a few activists way back in the early 1800s and a few in the 1700s, but they were just activists. There wasn't that many of them. In the 1800s, we got a few visible blacks, the supposed to be black leaders, about 1818, 1890s, when the evangelical movement went through this country in religion. Whites said, well, we have a few blacks ministers. We'll choose them, let them be black leaders, and let them go to church. But also when they go to church and those black ministers start talking to preaching, we got to make sure a white person is present, make sure he doesn't do anything that's misleading to those black folk, but they trying to direct them out of slavery or being free. And so those ministers came into effect starting about 1819, but their primary purpose was to mislead.
By the way, real quick, please go to Dr. Claud Anderson's YouTube channel and please subscribe and show him some love.
Contain black folk and to preach black folk about pie in the sky after death, and to be good, hard-working slaves, and to not expect anything on this earth, wait until death and get it then. Yeah. And so those black ministers were leaders, even though they didn't have any education, they didn't understand race matters. But they were still black leaders up from about 1818 up to about after the Civil War. Now, after the Civil War, when blacks got the right to vote, then and they could vote a few black officials in. They voted in about 16 blacks in the Congress and secondly, any blacks that got appointed in positions like sheriffs or working for the post office, they became black leaders in the community. Mm-hmm. And so we had a new kind of black leadership then. This kind of public leadership on the public payrolls and public eyes, they sort of minimized the role of the black ministers and became leaders. But that went on for a while. But then whites started pushing back, saying, if we can't control blacks.
I told them, hey mom, I spent 8 years on this degree, but I hate it and I really want to change jobs. I'm sorry, I know this sounds crazy.
With the leadership we appoint for them, the leadership we allow to be elected or appointed to a public office, we'll start eliminating blacks. And that's why blacks that tried to be leaders, they were always eliminated. That's why Marcus Garvey got wiped out.
Assassination.
Trying to be a black leader.
Assassination.
Later on, you had Malcolm X got wiped out trying to be a black leader. Martin Luther King got assassinated trying to be a black leader. So any black that they could not control, they would wipe him out.
And crazy thing, here we go. Yeah, crazy thing about Dr. King, man. It was like everything was all fan and dandy when he was doing that whole all in together kumbaya type stuff with you know what I'm trying to say? Like, this pretty much what's going on today, what I just kind of discussed earlier. When he was preaching that, when he was delivering a message of acceptance of everybody, like something when he was delivering a message that benefited everybody, right? He was given a pedestal. He was working with public politicians, presidents, all types of stuff, given a Nobel Peace Prize and stuff like that. It was like the works, right? And then he started talking about reparations, right? He started talking about the benefits of foreigners, like what they were given upon entering legally in America. You know, they were given like good. What was that called? They were good. They were awarded good interest rates. They were given like money too, right? They were like grants and stuff like that. Just things to kind of help them get started in America. And blacks just didn't get any of that, you know. So it's just kind of weird, man. You know, it's like when he started bringing stuff like that to light, that's when the alarm started going off, and people said like, "Wait, hey, this guy is he's going off course. He's starting to say some things that's you know, he's going off his own course, and he's not being controllable right now. So that's why they eliminated him. So it's kind of ironic very ironic, in my opinion.
Physically, through assassinations or eliminations. And last, but they had another trick, the way they said, let's just simply control them. What we'll do, we capture any black that has the potential of being a leader. What we do, we'll co-opt them and offer them meritorious manumission.
Yes, sir.
Put them in a major white corporation in a high-level position, or appoint them to Congress with the understanding.
That's going on so much today. It's crazy.
As they did in the 1870s, which says if you come to a public office, 3 things you cannot talk about if you're a black elected official or you're holding a public office. You cannot come to this office talking about anything pertaining strictly and solely to black people, point 1. Point 2, you cannot talk about group issues and focusing on blacks as a group. And thirdly, you cannot talk about ways and holding white folk accountable for 360 years of slavery in the 1870s, or nowadays in 2019, holding them accountable for reparations. So those are the 3 techniques they use and devices they use to eliminate black leadership and make them disappear. So after the 1960s civil rights movement, black folk got co-opted. The entire cadre of black leadership got co-opted, and they were taught to give up, encouraged to give up, saying give in to the facts and realities of white racism and join us on a new concept called benign neglect or political correctness, which means take the focus off that you would have been put on black folk, put it on other groups.
Yeah.
Put it on minorities, those broad terms again,
Yeah.
women, gays, transsexuals, anything but black folk. And so consequently, black leadership disappeared.
Yeah.
Another technique they use.
It was like black leadership was replaced by inclusive and everybody leadership. You know what I mean? It's like it's leadership that was leadership that had different, like, what else? What? Okay, leadership that had diverse faces, right? Whether it be black women or a trans, a Asian person, all you name it, you know. Yeah, those are the new leaders and progressive on the progressive side of politics right now.
Quite frequently, is to is to try to corrupt the Second Amendment and the second and use that against black folk, which says again that gun control. So the Second Amendment went into effect because they were controlling blacks with physically by whites having laws in effect that says basically that only whites can carry weapons and tools or any kind of fighting or defensive tactic or instrument. And so starting about 1643, they passed laws saying that black folk are going to be slaves. You cannot have weapons. You cannot have any tools. You cannot have signaling murals. And then again, it was ratified again in about 1672, where it said every colony was passed laws saying that, called a Second Amendment, that would say that every white person, a white male between the ages of 18 and 42, must carry arms at all times. For what reason? To maintain slavery, to keep blacks under control. That was called the Second Amendment of the Constitution. It was designed strictly and solely to maintain slavery and arm all whites, but yet at the same time say that no black can carry an arm or have a weapon at any time to resist being enslaved.
There you go.
That's in the Second Amendment of the Constitution. It's still popular even today. Now that everybody debates this question about gun control. And at the same time they're talking about gun control, you got to understand, out of about 367 million rifles and handguns in America, most 99.5% are owned by whites.
Yeah.
Here's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweet.
Whites own 99.5% of all the weapons. They produce all the weapons. They have all the bullets. They also have all the rifles, gun stores, and rifle and guns, weapons sales in the country. They own all the shooting ranges, and with the few handguns that black folk have, most of these cities are urged.
That's funny. Most of those handguns brothers do have is was okay. Now I'm not gonna say most. That wouldn't be fair to say, but I've heard stories of just like gun dumps, right, where somebody will just be like, it'll be like pitch black outside, and out of nowhere somebody like, hey yo, there's a bag of guns over here, you know, right? And then like it just, and there you go. Like that's how guns were distributed in certain parts of the hood, you know what I'm saying? Like they were just dumped there. Apparently nobody knows where they came from, right? But those are just stories though. I just heard about them. Now I didn't see it. I personally haven't seen it, but you know.
To do what? Tell black folk in those cities, go out and turn in your weapons and get a bag of groceries. If you got any guns, turn them in, because you black folk are shooting other blacks. And the way we're going to help you all is to urge you to turn in your guns, and we'll give you a bag of groceries. That goes on quite frequently in major urban areas across America. But they've never done that for whites. When you go into a typical white home in the South, you might find 15 or 20 rifles and 2 or 3 handguns, and but nobody ever put out a program in the rural areas of America and in the white country saying, we'll give you a sack of groceries if you turn in your weapons, and eliminate any opportunities for people to be killed or to kill other people using the weapons or handguns or rifles. That's another way of.
Yeah, and that's just a thing too, man. It's another thing too. It's like a multi-stage attack with what's been happening to black folk, man. With poverty comes crime. Like it's just kind of like the pipeline, you know. The pipeline of resource, or how about this is like the pipeline of money, of acquiring money. There's a job you have there. If your community is flourishing for the most part, there will be access to jobs in your community, right? At least, or a neighboring community, whatever comes first. If there's no jobs, right, people will turn to government assistance. All right, makes sense. And when the government assistance gets cut off, which it is inevitable, it will happen, right? Especially with the economy and people's greed being as rampant as it is. People are going to turn to a life of crime. People are going to resort to taking from each other. And how will they go about doing that? Violence, and guns, right? Crimes, guns. It should be pretty simple to understand. And it's hard for some people to understand that. Apparently, it is what it is. But in understanding that without jobs and without government assistance, folks are going to turn to are going to resort to a life of crime. Let me see. And understanding that folks are going to resort to a life of crime with a lack of opportunity, that's where the other side of the attack comes from. That's where the other attack comes from. You follow? So, like, who knows where we got the guns? For however we got the guns, folks got their guns. But for those that let's say there was like a gun dump, and then other people have purchased guns and stuff like that by other ways. By us turning on each other using guns and stuff like that and violence, it eventually causes like a cause of concern, or that's when people start look for solutions, right? Because they believe the solution is giving these people resources so they won't have to resort to crime and violence, right? They're trying to instead of the government assistance, they return to other people's assistance, like stop the violence. And well, there's some more community driven pushes to kind of fight against violence in Chicago and these other urban neighborhoods. But what ends up happening, right, is these groups are formed by community members, and maybe even the government, to extract our defense from ourselves, right, from black folk, in replace of a one-time resource grab, you know. And what that also kind of does is it kind of leaves us open, you know. Guns are definitely how do I word this? Guns are definitely can be problematic, right? They can be problematic, but they can also be solution makers. Because like no matter how long I stream this stuff, no matter how many people listen to me, no matter how many people share and like whatever, right? No matter how big I get, no matter how big this message gets, there's always going to be people that don't care about other people, you know, and they're only focused on themselves, or maybe their problems are bigger than the problems of other people. You know what I mean? Some people could even be justified. You just never know. But the fact of the matter is, with large communities being stripped of their self-defense, it leaves you wide open, you know. So it's like, I don't know if this is a lot to take in, and I understand that, but when you set up a system, when you set up this quote unquote multi-stage attack where communities are given self-defense, right, like guns and stuff like that, and I'm sorry, not just communities, but poverty-stricken communities that are essentially thriving off where people reside there that primarily resort to a life of crime to get by, to acquire resources, right? It means that it was essentially justify disarming communities of people that need the self-defense. So I don't know if that doesn't make sense to anybody, but I'll try to explain it more so throughout the future of this channel. But so it's like it's a multi-stage it's a multi-stage attack to extract self-defense resources from problematic areas, you know. Whereas these problematic areas, had they been getting the proper or the right solutions, then the right, which would be economic solutions, right? Things will actually turn around for the better for these communities in other ways than just taking their self-defense away from them. Taking the self-defense away from them.
Controlling black folk, and a device that's used to keep them separated and keep them harmless, and that way keep them under control. That device is again called using the 14th Amendment, the Second Amendment of the Constitution to control them by threats that they know that whites are prepared, that in case of a race war, that black folk are totally unarmed. And
all right, so so he just called it out. Yeah, he just called it out. He just flat out said it, like, in the event of a race war, black folks will be caught with their pants down.
Totally ill prepared to defend themselves in a race war in the United States. They know that. That's why black folk will never find gun stores or gun shops in a black neighborhood. And everybody's going to try to strip blacks of their weapons so that they will be totally ill prepared to defend themselves in case of a race riot or a race war.
Yeah.
So that technique is another way of maintaining the racial status quo in America. Yeah. Another technique.
Real quick though, I'll try to make it real quick. At least I be having a lot to say sometimes. And I apologize, but yeah, man. I'm kind of noticing a trend too. I really am starting to notice a trend, and I kind of need, especially black folk, to pay attention to this stuff, because let things keep kind of going the way that they're going regarding oversensitivity, right? Where a lot of people like what they call, the right like to call them the woke mob and all that stuff. But sometimes sometimes these right wingers be extremely head ass as far as who they call the woke mob and all this other stuff. But sometimes they're on point also. You know what I mean? And sticking with a guy like me, you will find out exactly what I mean by that, and exactly why everybody else should start to kind of get up to speed as far as what the things I've actually been noticing. But there's a problem in being I guess quote unquote overly woke, right? Especially the people that's run around grifting this woke ideals and stuff like that. This wokeism. It has ramifications. It has reverse effects, you know. So it's gonna come to a time where I remember the story of the boy who cried wolf, right? I think we all know the story where the kid's always crying wolf. Hey, there's a wolf outside. There's a wolf outside. There's a wolf outside. Every day he's talking about there's a wolf outside. Everybody believes him. Everybody believes him every time he says it until they don't. And then eventually the boy cries wolf one last time when the wolf actually shows up and the wolf actually kills the whole town. That's what I'm talking about. If people keep running around crying wolf about racism and discrimination, all this stuff, when it doesn't really call for that, you know what I mean? Then it's going to get to a point where people are going to stop caring, right? And when they stop caring, that's going to lower this sense of urgency for sympathy for a group of people that are literally on the bottom of on the bottom of the social economic hierarchy, right? And that's problematic. That's bad. Because that can easily open up for an opportunity where nobody's gonna care in the event of a some sort of crazy time happening that's gonna be specifically targeting black folk. You know what I mean? So it's in I believe, right, it's in everybody's best interest to just be aware of like the grifting, you know what I mean? And be aware of the when the woke mob is actually perpetuating exactly what these right wingers are actually trying to lead us to believe, and just but also like understand that the rogue mob ain't wrong every time. Obviously, you gotta. There's always two extremes, and the solution is always somewhere in the middle, right? It's all about nuance and discernment, in my opinion.
Use is always fabricate minorities, and then so that when any program comes out that could possibly benefit blacks, whether it could have been the New Deal of the 1930s or the Great Society program in the 1960s or any program that comes out, first thing I do is say that the program can't be specifically for black folk. It's got to be for everybody. You said, what's everybody? Well, what we're going to do now
I need to take
is that
some notes.
rather than it used to be just black, whites,
what did he just say?
whether it could have been the New Deal of the 1930s.
New Deal of 1930s. Let me write that down real quick. This ain't gonna take long at all. 1930. What else did he say?
The Great Society program in the 1960s.
Great Society program. Oops. 1960s. And
or any program that comes out. First thing I do is say that the program can't be specifically for black folk. It's got to be for everybody. You said, what's everybody? Well, what we're going to do now is that rather than it used to be just black, whites, let's
this is a bit of an issue. I want to kind of drive home the point out I made earlier regarding helping everybody and not just the people that need it the most. Is that when America and the taxpayers, right, focus on everybody, we eventually run out of money for the people that need it the most, and that's kind of what I'm saying. So, especially with America sending all this money over for foreign affairs, like the Ukraine situation, we've been sending money to Israeli, what's that place? Israel and all that stuff. Like this, and there's other things too. With us doing all of that stuff instead of like allocating a lot of that money towards to the communities that need the most, to develop the communities that need the most, it's just completely strange to me, man.
Let's magnify that. So that anybody who's been discriminated against is eligible to receive any benefits that black folk could have received. And so what they do to fabricate all these minorities. So now everybody can be equal to black folk, not based on racism, but based on another thing they use called discrimination.
What a fun-looking game, not.
And somehow make discrimination equal to racism, which there's no way it could be. Discrimination is a natural human process. Anybody can discriminate. Everybody must discriminate to be able to exist and interact with their environment and with the general society. You discriminate on what kind of ice cream you're going to buy, what kind of clothes you're going to buy, what kind of car you want to buy. Everybody discriminates. And yet I see on a regular basis some kind of admonishment in the media saying we got to eradicate all forms of discrimination. That is totally, absolutely insane and impossible. You cannot eradicate discrimination because every human being must be capable of discriminating to make decisions. But they use that technique.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Everyone, I try to tell you, this dude is full of hot takes, things that folks just do not even remotely try to consider. Yes, we discriminate all the freaking time, right? We discriminate, bro. I take the 290. I take a toll road to work every day because I will discriminate any other way of getting to work. I know other people that refuse to take that refuse to go on the expressway at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all make decisions based on our previous engagements with situations and choices all the time. You know, and it's like completely perfectly normal. You know, so. But when it comes to people like that, there's new. That's when people would like to make new rules for that, right? Okay, you're not supposed to discriminate based on race. So that's kind of what everybody is most likely referring to. But it's funny how Dr. Anderson how he spins this idea. You know, it's just been funny to me. Oops.
And that way black folk get confused because they don't understand what's going on when you equate racism with discrimination. Those two things have nothing in the world to do with each other. But black folk have yet to understand fully what racism is. And in our future conversation, what we're going to talk about, I'm going to go back and give you the history of racism and show you the difference between discrimination and racism. But what people are telling you nowadays is that there's no difference, that discrimination is the same as racism, that bias, the same as racism, that being opposition or not liking somebody is racism. Those things have nothing in the world to do with racism. We're going to talk about it in part 2 on our program. I'm going to have to stop at this point, and this is part 1, but I got a whole bunch of other devices to talk about with you, and we come back next week. Come back and join me on this YouTube, and let's finish up. I probably only got through about 3 or 4 today. I'm gonna probably bring up about 19 or 20 things that they're using to make sure that nothing changes for black folk in America. All right. That's why in this country, you're in exactly the same position you were in 1861. You are now a permanent underclass. And where you used to be permanent second class citizens, that a massive unending influx of immigrants in this country has pushed you from being a second class citizens down to third class citizens. And in about another 4 or 5 years, Arabs and Middle Eastern are going to get together with Asians, and they're going to push you from being third class citizens down to fourth class citizens. That way you're going to still be in the same construct at the bottom. All these devices we use to keep you where you are, which is totally dependent on other people, especially the dominant white side, for your daily needs, your daily food and substance. But we're going to talk about that as we move on. But this was part 1. We're going to go through part 2 and maybe even part 3 to get through all these points I'm going to make about the devices that a company use to make sure black folks stay a subordinated, exploited, dependent group of people in America that anybody can enrich themselves and use them to elevate their race, their culture, their language, and their gender above black folk. I thank you and have a good evening.
Very, 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 very.
I have a prediction for.
God damn it. Yeah. It's I mean, like I said, for people that especially people that aren't that may not resonate with this stuff, I get it, man. It's this stuff is pretty difficult to get through. However you should, you know. But yeah, it's like I said, dude. Like it's like the economics. It's this group economic stuff is real, you know, and everybody practice it, dude. Everybody practices. How you think most major cities have Chinatowns? You know what I mean? Like Greek towns, Jewish towns. You know, where a place or like a area, and it doesn't even have to be a whole city, the whole town, obviously. just it has one group, one place where everybody is contributing the most they can, and they bring money and finance from other communities into their own communities, and they build their businesses in their basements or backyards, and it grows. They go out and where they go out to these other communities, they take their money, they bring it to their communities and they build it, And Black Americans, we haven't been on that, It's like we go out, we work, and we come back home and we spend the money on Amazon, We go straight to Amazon and spend and pay, and dish right back out. We go to other grocery stores out of our towns, and give them our grocery money, and that's just how it has been going, All right, I know y'all tired looking at this guy with his prediction because I know he ain't got much to talk about here. Come on.
For you, for your net worth, your assets, 2023 is going to be a very, very bad year for a lot of people.
Not for me, man. How dare you curse me with your... Well, what did I say? Nothing important. If you appreciate it. Yeah. Like I said, man, if you appreciate his work, man, go to this YouTube channel, leave a like and subscribe and share, right?
Welcome again to my YouTube channel, Connecting the Dots.
This is part 2, right?
I'm Dr. Claud Anderson, your host. I'm going to pick up now on part 2 of what are devices that were used to constrain and to maintain the racial status quo in America. Now, I left where I left off after about, I don't know how many I went through, but let's pick up about at least 3 or 4 more of these points.
I'll quit a job before I take the expressway. Understandable, Tisha. Understandable. Yeah, this student. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it gets so annoying. Just dealing with the traffic and people just like not being consistent, and then all the crazy drivers. Like it's weird. Like people will literally swerve in front of you and then drive on the shoulder lane just to get in front of a couple. It's like people just, I don't know what to say. I think people literally just do drugs and drive at the same time. We thought texting and driving was bad. Drugs and driving is way worse. Black businesses are too expensive. Yes. Black businesses are definitely too expensive, but geez. It's like the same thing I said with everything we're dealing with black folk. It's being black is gonna be a sacrifice. It's not the fact that it's not even just like dealing with the economy, not just dealing with the people themselves, but like literally just being born black. There's gonna be some things you're gonna have to deal with that other communities of people don't have to deal with. And again, it's all of it is part of the sacrifice. Sacrifice.
Because there's so many I can't get through all of them in 2 or 3 parts. But let's pick up another one. Another common way they try to maintain the status quo in black folk is to direct black folk into involved in symbolic, insignificant, wheel spinning kind of activities that leads to nothing. That can be everything from marches, just to march and express your displeasure, or protest marches where there's no tangible goal that's been spelled out, where you got millions of people marching, and you say, marching for what?
Oh,
there's no answer.
Dang. Oh, that one hurt. That one hurts. Oh man, the marches for no reason, the picketing, the complaining, and all of the social media took us to another level, man. We putting black screens over our profile pictures. We adding filters to our pictures and all this stuff. Oh man, like bro, like okay, that's great. That's nice that you shared that you shared a filter on your Facebook photo to show that you're in solidarity with whatever struggle anybody is going through. But man, are you donating resources? Are you providing solutions? Are you having a conversation with people that are not in affiliation with what you stand for? You know, Tangibles. Tangibles, right? All of these things, all of these marches, all of these positive, goal-oriented, solution-finding strategies need to be at the forefront. Like whatever you do in solidarity with whatever you stand for needs to have an end result of bettering the situation for whatever you're trying to shed light on. You know what I mean? So he's talking about these. I mean, I don't know what did the Million Man March do anything? You know, did the I Have a Dream speech, like, did it? You know, I like to think it swayed people's opinions and stuff like that on stuff. I don't know. You know, the stuff has to have an impact. You know, it has to really do something. These parades, stop the violence. Not stop the violence, but there's something. I know there's something Chicago does. They kind of just. I mean, it can be anything, man. But like the parades and the marches and like all of this, these pep talks and stuff like that, TED talks, what have you. All of this stuff is just talking about the problem. It's no better than just complaining. But they're not really. It's like, they may even pitch out some solutions, you know. But are the solutions even remotely rooted in reality? You know, are you? When I say remote, when I say rooted in reality, like, is it taken into account for people that don't think what you think? You know. So that's what he's talking about, man. If he has a solution to this, if he has an alternative, I would love to hear it. But in my opinion, the best solutions is to raising the awareness and provide a realistic solution and express that solution to the people that you're trying to gain the attention of. But just changing your background filters and doing all this other weird stuff, it's ultimately not leading to anything. People have been marching and holding these parades and all that stuff for decades, but nothing's changing.
And so black folk engage in all these symbolic issues, or for instance, they can even march because of something that occurred 20 years ago, and they marched because somebody was shot or killed or beaten. And you said, what's the goal? Nobody knows, but they're engaged in it. But the worst part about it, that they try to direct you into, is try to get black folks engaged in things that are non-definable, like in marches, like particularly the civil rights movement, like marching for equality. You ask, what is equality? What is equality? How do you determine when you got equality? What are you looking for in equality? And when white folks in the old days, in civil rights days, I can recall very distinctly when I was over education in the state of Florida. You ask them, white people say, what do you people want? And black folks would say, we want equality. What else do you want? We want equal opportunity. What else do you want? We want to be somebody. And so what white folks was trying to say, okay, since we got the power and wealth, y'all proclaim that we are superior. We're going to grant you everything you ask for. Abracadabra, make all black folk equal. Abracadabra, give them equal opportunity. Abracadabra, make them equal to whites. Now get the hell out of here. You got what you need. Don't come back. They didn't give you anything because, you see, you didn't ask for anything that was tangible and measurable. You didn't say, I want this. I want to know something that I can measure and I can take to the bank, that I can have in my hands and hold, and that I can have a value in, because they always trick us to get involved in equality and equal opportunity. And what they fail to tell you is that you live in a race-based society. You cannot, in theory and practice, get equality and equal opportunity in a race-based society. The whole point of racism, of being in a race is a contest. It's when people engaging in a competitive activity. Whether it's a horse race, a bicycle race, an automobile race, people are competing. And the whole point in racism is not to create equality. It's the primary point of racism is to create inequality. That's why you go to the horse race, the Kentucky Derby, you line all the horses up together and say, now, when the gun goes off, your horses start running and run around the tracks. We want, when you get to the end, we want you all we want to identify the one who comes in first place or comes in show or place, win, show, or place. Now, nobody wants to expect all those horses to come in at the same time.
Right.
That would be foolish. That defeats the purpose of having a race. It's for everybody to start out equal and come in equal. Can't happen. But unfortunately, our people look for equality in these and look and say, well,
yeah, and that's just the thing, man. Yeah, racism is a literal race. That's exactly what it's a literal race. This, no matter what you thought racism was growing up, in economics, this is what racism is. Racism is a literal race. Whoever makes it first wins. You know, whoever makes it first, and I don't mean win as far as you're gonna get some trophy and you're gonna wave at all the crowd or whatever. No, it literally means you hold the power. You hold the power. You hold the resources. So when things hit the fan and nations and stuff start falling off the cliff, you know what I mean? Theoretically, the ones that finished first, they live to see. How do I word this? The ones that finish first live the longest. It is what it is. In economics, the ones that hold the most resources will live the longest. So theoretically, let's say the world is going to end in 1,000 years, right? Who's going to have the most wealth, the most power, the most economic standing when that 1,000 years is up? Like, who's gonna have the rocket ships that can house as many people as possible? Whatever solutions we can find to escape the end of the world in 1,000 years, those who have the power will be saved first. Make sense, right? And if we live our lives, if we just keep striving for this idea, for this fantasy of equality, we're going to just be the ones left in the dust, because the minorities especially, but also black folks included, we love this idea of equality, right? We love the idea of being equal to everybody and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, the people that are holding the power, they're not interested. They loathe the idea of sharing their wealth with everybody. You know what I mean? So, and it's not to say white people in general, obviously. I'm literally saying the elites. You know what I'm saying? Because the elites are freaking different. The elites are, we do need to separate the elites from like the vast majority of whites and others in America. But yeah, the top percent, they're going to be saved first. Who's going to be after that? Their kinship is going to come after that. Who's after that? Friends. You know what I mean? And then the ship is full, and that's it. Then they're gone. Everybody else is going to be. Everybody else after that 1,000 years is up. Cut. It's a wrap. But that's group economics. That's group economics in the science fiction way. Oops. There we go. Bam.
We want to catch up.
Oh. Learning to be specific about your needs is an important lesson and skill. And I couldn't agree more. You know what I mean? Learning to be specific about your needs is an important lesson. Yeah. It's like that's definitely something to consider. That's definitely something to make a future video on or something like that. Because I believe there's a level to it. There's definitely a level to it. Like, as far as when I say level, I mean there's like a step process to that. You have to build. I think that's like something you have to build towards, because before you get to expressing your needs and wants, you're gonna have to understand things like your foundation is gonna have to be rooted in emotional intelligence. you're gonna need a distinct level of empathy so that you're not overreaching your wants and stuff like that, and you're not conflating your needs with your wants. So when you ask for something that is a need, right? That is clearly defined as a need. You will not only be able to express that eloquently, it will also be you will also be able to express it in a way that is how should I put this? You also be able to frame it in a way that is dang, there's a word that's on the tip of my tongue, bro. I'll just have to think of a different word for it, so to use instead. You'll be able to express in a way so that it is of a high most importance, and you'll be able to develop a sense of a soundproof argument, right? As far as this need and this inclusion into its actuation, into its implementation, into I'm not trying to say reality, but into law, if that makes sense. But I'm definitely gonna make a video of them. I obviously have to put my thoughts together before I make that video. But I can't agree more. We definitely people do need to learn. It is definitely a skill to be specific about what you want out of people that have the power, that have the resources. Because again, you gotta be able to express yourself. You have to be sellable. You have to be able to sell it, and you have to be. You're gonna need the emotional intelligence to know how to sell it to whomever you're speaking to, and you're also gonna need the empathy to understand it's how important it is, and understanding why it's a need as opposed to just being a want.
And so in the race, black folks say, well, if we're looking for equality, equal opportunity, and we're in a race, let's just run along and look behind us and say, everybody catch up. I'm in front. Y'all need to catch up with me so we can all come in together. It is foolish and it's silly. But every time I hear a black person talking about what they're looking for in terms of race matters, they're looking for equality, equal opportunity. You cannot get equal opportunity and equality in a race-based society. Go for yourself. Get out front, run as fast as you can, and try to get to the finish line as fast as you can.
Yes.
And do not look back and try to pull everybody else along with you.
Yes.
Every other group in America is competing with you. They're competing for the ownership and control of resources, wealth, and power. The greatest power in this nation is wealth power.
Yes.
As you get out front, get as much wealth as you can, and try to pull as many of your people along, but you cannot all come in at the same time.
Yeah. So, and again, remember what I said about that rocket ship? Get the resources together and make sure you're good, right? And after you're good, that's when you can string along the people that rock with you, because that's exactly what's happening right now. Like white folks hold over 90% of the United States wealth right now, And what are they doing with that? What are they doing with that power? What are they doing with that wealth? They set in place a system that benefits them very well, right? And this system not only the system benefits them very well, right? But also, once they recognize that they're good, right? Finally, that's when they started to string along people that affiliate with them, So all of this stuff about, let me hurry get this translation again. Let me kind of start it. Let me start it from the top. So it's exactly what he was saying. Like when you run along this race, and you get, and once you run the race and you're already established as a society, because that's what is kind of happening. That's what's kind of happening right now with white people owning 90% of the wealth in the United States. This is essentially what they're doing. You know, remember that rocket ship that I mentioned earlier? They got their people on board. They're good, and I'm sorry, they crafted a system that primarily benefits them, right? And instead of stopping to like gather everybody to the rocket ship, no matter, indiscriminately and all that stuff, no, they pick and choose who they're gonna string along with them. So with them owning, like I said, with white folks owning like 90% of the power or the wealth in the United States, and which also means they hold the resources, that puts them in a place where they can recognize and they can finally relax and understand that they've won, they've achieved, and they've achieved in society. So when he goes along to say things like they bring their people along, that they get to choose who they get to bring along. And obviously, they're gonna bring along people that benefit, that uphold the system that they have in place. So everybody posing all these questions as far as why aren't these elites, and why aren't the white people, why aren't whoever trying to instill things and policies and bills and laws and stuff like that benefit black people and stuff like that? Well, it's because they don't feel like it, because we don't say the things that they want us to say, you know. So this leads to another point Dr. Claud Anderson makes a lot of the times. Married, oh God, I can't say this damn word. But the act of finding black leaders and recruiting them and indoctrinating them to preach a prosperity message, so that or a message that benefits all people instead of a direct people. And they also benefit directly from these folks because they're garnering the attention of every minority group, you know. So like the financing and the funding goes to these political these political figures, and it goes straight back to the man, the person that's the people that are stringing all this together. You know what I mean? You follow? So no, they're not gonna these people, these elites and stuff like that, not specifically white people, obviously, but these elites, right? They're not gonna finance somebody like a Dr. Claud Anderson primarily. They're not gonna give money to Dr. Umar. You know, they're not gonna give too much attention to anybody that doesn't directly benefit them specifically, right? Because that's not how it's just simply not how this economic stuff works, you know. Oh, I got quite a comment here. Generational wealth and gatekeeping. Yeah, that's just, they've been practicing it forever, you know. And it's funny that they don't want us to participate. It's like there's a lot of stuff that were allowed and legal that a lot of people got a lot of money off of, and by the time other groups of people try to practice these same things, it's over with. Like, it's like I mean, of course it could be the timing, you know, this is what it is, but a lot of people got a lot of money off of illegal stuff, you know, and they use that money to basically powerhouse other ways of making money, more cleaner ways of making money.
They said, well, Dr. Anderson, that we believe in socialism. Why would you want to be practicing socialism in a capitalist society? That what you want to be?
Oh man, that's another one, bro. I can't stop. I can't stop stopping, man. Yeah, socialism. I gotta say something about socialism. if my mouse at whatever start working. Gotta say something about socialism. Socialism is inevitable. I believe socialism will eventually happen. However, I don't believe it's going to happen the way that socialists or leftists believe it's going to happen, by talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I believe a lot of these YouTubers jump on this whole socialism bandwagon to grift, to appease to a specific crowds, to look good, right? But in all actuality, they are being the most capitalistic MFers on the face of the planet. All right. Here's a quick example. Hassan Piker. I'm not going to go into details as far as who he is. You Google him or YouTube him your stuff. He is one of the biggest socialist guys on the face of YouTube. One of the biggest. Problem is, he ain't doing anything about it. He's not trying to act. He's not trying to do anything regarding instilling or putting in place socialism. You know, and I definitely have a video, man, that I want to share too, that we will react with. But yeah, the good. I mean, dude, it's a grift. You know what I mean? Where do I start? The dude. You're a socialist, right? But you bought a top of the line foreign car worth well over $100,000. You're a socialist. Your home is worth over $1 million, but you're a socialist. You don't donate to charity, but you're a socialist. You know, so it's like a lot of these YouTubers, man, that's preaching socialism stuff. They're full of it, you know. So with that aside, I still believe socialism is eventually going to happen, and the people that are in control of socialism, the people that will be in control during capitalism will still be in control during socialism, and they're not going to be touchable. I mean, everybody's gonna get what they're gonna get, you know, because I believe this is gonna come in a time where labor jobs will just be non-existent anymore. But okay, but in knowing that, in understanding that socialism is eventually gonna happen. There's no point in crying about enacting socialism now, because it's literally not going to happen by just simply talking about it. It's literally not going to come by way of pushing laws and all that stuff. If socialism is gonna come, it's gonna come naturally. You know what I mean? And it's gonna come in a time where we're gonna have to where human beings as a whole are going to have to essentially adapt to the new economic climate. Like the economic climate under capitalism has to depreciate so bad that we'll have to turn to another solution. And to be honest, it might end up being communism. To be honest, it could easily go. It can go either way. Communism, socialism, Marxism, who knows, right? But with that said, with Dr. Claud Anderson saying that why should we practice while we practicing socialism in a capitalistic economy? I mean, like that's just obvious. Like I don't know why people. It just leads to the grift. You know what I mean? The grift of these other guys that's trying to promote this idea of socialism. If we're dealing with a capitalistic economic structure, play the game by those rules. It's as simple as that. Literally, everybody that preaches socialism are doing exactly that, whether you want to admit it or not. I mean, I remember a guy that literally just said he's a leftist socialist type person, but he's literally charging people $5,000 for a debate. Capitalism at its peak. You know what I'm trying to say? So don't get fooled. For what? Why bother? Trying to play this game of living by socialistic norms when we're in a capitalistic society. Play the game. Play the game as it's supposed to be played, right? And that's get bread. Oops.
An island of socialism in a sea of capitalism. Everybody in the world is trying to be is capitalistic. Russia used to be practice socialism. So did China. They were communist countries, socialistic. They got away from it. Now some of the most competitive capitalist nations on earth are Russia, China, and even North Korea. Everybody's competing to get ownership and control of wealth and power. Nobody's looking for any equality, equal opportunities, but black folk.
Yep.
But yet our people still are being taught and encouraged by civil rights organizations and political candidates that look for equality and equal opportunity. No, you tell them, I want to look for self-interest first. Get my people out front, make them come in first, and don't worry about who's going to be behind them in second place and third place. Go for the rope, go for the gold, and cross the rope and get the gold. And that's why I tell black folks, stay away from anything that's intangible, that you can't measure and count and take to the bank. Go for what you can take to the bank and count and enrich your people with more wealth. We have 1/2 of 1%. We should have enough wealth in our hands that will be equal to our population. We're about 13% of the world, of this country's population. Try to own and control as much value and wealth as you have in your population number.
Yes.
Not only in this country, same thing with African countries. African countries in the same boat. I guess blacks in Africa own about 1/2 of 1% of the wealth, just like we have 1 1/2% of wealth in America. But isn't it sad that collectively, if I tie all the blacks in the world together, between blacks in Africa, blacks in the Caribbean, and black in America, you get about 24% of the world population. And even with 24% of the world's population, to show you how bad it is, what the great disparity is, and the inequality is that with 24% of the population collectively, people of African descent around the world, you still only control 1/2 of 1%. So quit trying to be equal to all other people.
Mm-hmm.
Try to be.
I want to say this also. If I can just get my mouse to work, geez Louise. Here's something interesting to think about also. Here's something interesting to consider. There's a lot of black people with extremely well developed creativity. You know, creativity so well received and renowned that it made them millionaires. And subsequently, by us having such a poor business acumen, or in other words, we're not business savvy at all. We're just very, very creative. Other people have been benefiting from our successes, the successes of our work, you know. And that's just really unfortunate, man. That's really unfortunate because, like, cut out these middlemen, these business guys, and all these producers and all that stuff. If we just had the means of sharing the music and all that stuff, and the artwork and the movies, like you name it, I don't know. It'd be something else. The wealth amongst Black Americans will be incredible. But at the very least, it's just as Dr. Anderson has just stated, strive for a group wealth of that's somewhere around your group population. All right. Blacks around 14% of United States population. We should be striving for a 14% share in wealth in America. Couldn't agree more.
independent. Confine your interests and your goals to yourself and your own people. Get out ahead in front and run as fast as you can, and don't look back.
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app on my phone. And
okay. All right. What is this? Oh, this is an hour long. This is too long. What instruction?
Hi everyone. Good.
That may seem that looks interesting. Yeah, so we riding on 2 hours here. It's been a lot of fun already. But yeah, man. So yeah, we definitely kind of making the way through Dr. Anderson's stuff. Let's see here let's see if there's a part 3 to it.
Good evening.
Part 2.
Hi, welcome.
Part 1. Yeah, like it's just parts. There's 2 parts to that. Looks like it's just 2 parts to that. Let's see here. Okay, we got one more. We can check this out here. Just to wrap up this 2-hour stream. Oops. There we go.
Hello, welcome again to the YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Claud Anderson, your host. I'm here to bring you a section of broadcasting, or podcasting is now called Connecting the Dots, which means we try to take what's going on presently and connect it to history so you can find out what was in the center that's missing that nobody wants to talk about.
AKA nuance.
That's why they're right now saying, we don't need no racial history in this country. We're for right and trying to pass laws that's forbidden to teach history. Because what they want to do is to make sure that nobody ever finds out why blacks are in a dilemma in this country and any place on the world, including Haiti and all these Caribbean islands. It defies mathematical probability for black folk to be on the bottom all around the world and to have been there for 465 years. That's no accident. Black folk have never been permitted to be any more or any less than what white folk wanted them to be. You see, the whole point of history was that when whites Europeans.
I really thought I was going to pause the video. Yeah, I think what's the guy name? Carlos De Santos, something like that. I believe that's that guy's name. I don't know shit about him. Yeah, they're trying to wipe out what's that called? Critical race theory. They're trying to stop critical race theory from schools. And from my understanding, that's just a in-depth look at the history of racism in America and its impact on Black Americans today. And and this is being spearheaded by right wingers. So it's like, man, like where the hell? Because I do a lot of dunking on Democrats on this channel, and then it's guys like that. It's systems like this, which keeps me smack dab in the middle. You know, it's stuff like this that keeps me from I can't do it. Can't be a Republican, not at all, because these people want to erase what's extremely important in America. They don't want reparations, just like the Democrats don't want reparations. It's just that the Democrats act like they want reparations because it makes them look good, right? But let a bill get signed regarding reparations. You best believe that shit it will not be passed. There's gonna be plenty of Democrats voting against reparations for black folk for chattel slavery. It's not gonna happen. Anywho, yeah, they're trying to do that. And it's funny because I think did this say 2018? This was he made this video. I don't know when to call DeSantos start making those start talking about this wiping out critical race theory and all that stuff. But Dr. Anderson, he hit the nail on the head with this one.
Europeans came to this country. They came here as freeloaders. And see, when you all don't call them that, that's exactly what they are. They knew they were coming as freeloaders. When they entered out all the prisons, all the poorhouses, all the mental institutions, and put them on boats and send them over here to the United States. And the first thing they did was build a new state, form a new state called Georgia, and to build a filter to stop the slaves from running away from South Carolina into Florida. But that whole thing was built and designed to keep black folk contained. And the reason they're going to try to do that because black slaves were I call native blacks. Because they're not African blacks, they're natives. These blacks are born in the United States, are born on ships after they were kidnapped out of Africa. So they're not Africans. They were raised totally independently, either on those boats and after they arrived in America for the last 400 some years. They are natives. Plus, in addition to that, we had blacks in this country as Folsom people way before the American Indians ever came to this country, were ever formed, and came out of Asia across the Bering Straits. And so the Indians trying to get ahead of blacks by saying, we are natives. You're not any natives either. You came across the Bering Straits after blacks. That everybody on the earth came to the earth and followed black folk. The only natives you got on the earth are black people. They were the original natives. Everybody.
Oh, my. Oh, wow. Oh, man. I that's something I have not put a lot of research into regarding whom arrived to Native America, whom arrived to America first. But yeah, there's some brothers out here making a strong case for black Americans being the indigenous people in America. I don't know. It's something I should look into.
Everybody else came here. They were followers. They came here and were raised in either in Asia or European on the European continent or in the Pacific Islanders as freeloaders. They got some of the free benefits of what the historical blacks were creating on the earth. Blacks were the original people on the earth. And so what do you call them? Native Americans or original people? That's what blacks are entitled to, which makes them very special people. And so right now we need to do something about these blacks with the present administration. See, Biden got elected with he and Harris running as vice president because they promised they're going to do certain things for black folk. They've been in there now over about a year and almost a year and a half, and they have not done one single thing for black folk. I don't think the word black has ever crossed their lips since they got elected. But now, when it was time for the vote to go out, they put up a pretense, a straw man talking about, we got to get the black vote because that black vote is exempt. We need to have that to get elected. First of all, they didn't need the black vote because you see, black folk were outnumbered 9-1 in this country. You got 9 other ethnic groups in the country, and if you break it down to parts, black folk only constitute 1 out of the 9 or 10 groups in this country. So black vote is not that necessary. They did that because they're gonna do what they call sneaky suppression of the black vote. They've been suppressing the black vote since the Constitution in 1789. And people are talking about, they're suppressing our vote. The Constitution suppressed your vote. Until you go back and deal with the Constitution and correct it, you're going to always be.
The Constitution suppress your vote. Yeah. Yeah. There's not much they really add to this. This is facts. It's just facts, man. Kamala Harris didn't say. Oh man, to correct them a bit. They have said something about things about black folks. I remember Kamala Harris saying we can't do anything specifically for blacks. And I remember Joe Biden saying, what did Joe say? They call him Jim Crow. I've heard him being called Jim Crow Joe. You'll find out why one day. Yeah, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. So. Ooh-wee. But yeah, again, I need to stop ducking on. I just like I got smoke for the left. I got smoke for the right, bro. It is what it is.
Suppressed. And that's built into the Constitution that black folk were to be suppressed. And even in 18 after the Civil War, they went back and suppressed you again in the second Constitution. You got two constitutions in the United States. You got the first one written by Thomas Jefferson, and back in 1789, and you got a second Constitution that was written in 1865. It was written strictly and solely for black folk. Later on, they changed it from being a second Constitution because they didn't want you to know about it. And in there, that's where all your civil rights acts came out of, because the whole point of the civil rights movement was supposed to be to correct the Dred Scott decision of 1857, which says black people in America have no rights, but you do have rights. You got a second Constitution, which is started with the 13th Amendment. The 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment are major elements in the second Constitution. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, they put in what's called the Civil Rights Law that was passed in 1865 and 1866, which specifically identified black folk and said the whole point of these laws and the civil rights laws and those constitution amendments is to correct and reverse the 1857 Dred Scott decision. They're not there. They didn't put those laws up for minorities or poor folk. Mm-hmm. You didn't have the minorities and poor folk in America. All those people started coming to America after the Civil War was over. When they found that they can come in here and they can get low wages and work on the railroads like the Chinese and all of them, but they were still safe. Nobody was denying them anything. They can have their own communities and have their own businesses and make money that way and be competitive with black folk. So Chinese Asians came in here. They've been coming in ever since. And lately they've been bringing in either Pacific Islanders who've been doing very well because they're displacing black folk. You go to a hospital or for any kind of a medical treatment right now, about 90% of the medical people you're going to find in those various institutions and on those organizations are going to be other people other than blacks or whites. They're going to be people coming in either from the Far East, from Asia, or coming in from the Pacific Islands.
So one thing I want to add to this is this stuff is like he's definitely calling out a lot of different nationalities and stuff like that, and especially in direct correlation to the black economic structure or black economic crisis in America. And it's not necessarily a thing of him being hatred or hateful or spiteful towards these groups of people that come to America and take it for his, play the game, right? He's more so just showing black folk that elderly people have been doing this for generations. And if we're going to continue this whole aspect of helping everybody, you know what I mean, when all of these folks have been helping themselves, then, well, no wonder we've been left behind, and we've been left behind people that kind of just moved here. We've been left in the dust by people that have been here a fraction of the time that us as a community or as a group have been here. And we can't of course we can't forget the fact that there's been laws and bills set in place to keep us from starting generational wealth, right? But it's still not an excuse, right, for us to fall victim to this trap that they laid before us. And it's kind of do or die at this point. Like folks gotta, I don't know, it's an inconvenience, you know what I mean? But it's something that we all have to kind of come to terms with. Otherwise, is like I said, in the year 2050, in the year 2053, our projected median income is looking at zero. I think hospital staff depend on the area. Not a lot of people want to work in poor communities. Yeah. Yeah. So what would be the solution to that? Poor communities. Poor communities. I think the only way to reverse the problems of a poor community, like the only way to fix that is by developing it, right? Like it's gonna need businesses that it's gonna require businesses led by the people that live in the community, so that the community, so that the people in the community, so that the money extracted from that business, say a grocery store, right? So that the money extracted from other communities and funneling into this grocery store is being recirculated to the owner and the people that work there, whom also live in the community. And it's going to be those people's jobs to essentially bounce the money within the community multiple times, so that every dollar bill is reworked and recycled within the community, so that it extracts as much resources and capital and wealth as humanly possible before that dollar bill is exported out of that community. So that's like the only thing you can really do as a community, as a community, to watch your community grow out of poor conditions. A lot more black staff members who will hire entry-level black graduates. Yeah, that's true. And I think the important thing, that would be that would be culturally. Absolutely. That would definitely be like a cultural thing black folk can do to build up the money, right? To build up the wealth amongst the culture, amongst black folk in general. It's just that I would say that we can kind of do that. I think we can do that better if we focus on our communities. But both definitely doesn't hurt. Obviously, both doesn't hurt.
And so you find out another thing they're doing now. These Asians are coming into the country and raising Cain and trying to find bills that would say black folks are not entitled to preferential treatment in the university and admission processes in these universities, on set-asides for minorities. Black folk are not a minority. They are a majority. They've always been an exceptional majority. They're exceptional people. They're special people. They're entitled in special treatment that this country has never given them. And that's what black folks should be in the streets doing right now, is saying we are special, unique people. Nobody in this country, no ethnic group, religious group, cultural group has come here and suffered the way we have been denied all the rights and privileges that we've been denied. And they're coming and getting all the opportunities that we've been denied. So get out there and start doing it. Start raising Cain and says, we're going back to the Power Pack books that Dr. Anderson put out. Everything we need to know is in those Powernomics books. You can get those books by going to the website. Go to powernomics.com and get the Power Pack.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Dr. Claud Anderson, man, it's like he's an extreme version of Dr. King right before he got assassinated. It's a blessing that this man lived as long as he has. It's a true and it is no short of a miracle that he's still standing right now, because they got rid of King, man. They got rid of Malcolm X. They got rid of a lot of brothers. But Dr. Anderson, man, thank you, Lord, for keeping this man with us, because this is an extremely important message.
Oops. I started reading the first one at the bottom of the pack, which is Black Labor, White Wealth. It'll take you straight up through 5 books, and there won't be one question that you can ask that should not have been answered by now and in those books. Yep. Get out there as soon as you can and order it off the website. And if you can't do that, just call the Powernomics Corporation and order it on the phone. I look forward to hearing from you. You take care, and love, respect, and safe. Be safe in any regard other than that. and being endangered by what's going on overseas in Ukraine.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. See you next time.
Yes, sir. He be killing these damn games. Be killing me, man. All right. We have
on the Rock Human Show.
Oh yeah,
Black
Rock Human.
Economics
This
today. Dr. Claud Anderson.
we're gonna get into that too. We definitely gonna get into that. Yeah, it's been another 2 hours and some change. A whole lot of fun as usual. I appreciate everybody for sticking around, checking me out. But as I said, definitely going to be working towards a more consistent time schedule regarding the streams. You will definitely can look forward to seeing these streams from here on out, starting at or on Sunday, starting at 12. Most likely we're going to start at 12 initially. Then we may try experimenting around 1, maybe 2 o'clock p.m. All this is obviously in the p.m. So, like I said, whichever one kind of sticks the best amongst the crowd, amongst the viewers and stuff like that, we're gonna kind of work with. I'm gonna work with that. I don't really expect these numbers to be too crazy right now, for the simple fact that I really haven't put out any content yet. But again, starting tomorrow, I will definitely be putting out some retrograde stuff, some videos regarding some older content, and I'm gonna be consistently posting content from tomorrow up until for at least, well, shoot, I mean, as long as I can keep going, to be honest. But for right now, I'm covered for the next 3 weeks. And so what that's gonna do is gonna gather some attention. I hope I might get some subscribers and stuff from that. I know how to work the algorithm. I know how to work a lot of this stuff, which is dope. But yeah, so with the numbers kind of started pouring in eventually, I have a better gauge as far as what time I can kind of stick with. But most likely I'm gonna stick with Sundays. I'm gonna stick with early afternoon. That's pretty much it. Not too much else to add here. We streamed for over 2 hours. Definitely had a lot of fun. Absolutely had a lot of fun. And it's always such an honor. It's always such a inspiring time just watching Dr. Claud Anderson videos and just taking it all in, man. And I'm happy that he said, like, the points that he makes them over and over and over and over again. So it really resonates with the viewers, because that's how you learn, right? you gotta be told the same things multiple times for it to resonate with you. And I mean, man, I've come a long way just from when I first started watching this guy's stuff, and I just can't stop, and I won't stop preaching his message of showing, like, man, showing respect where respect is due. Just shedding light on this injustice that's been instilled upon Black Americans for generations and generations, for hundreds of years. Yeah, so that's about wrap that one up. Here's another comment. I see more foreign Black people than foreign Asian people more often getting jobs out here. Okay. which is a good thing, It's like, if nothing else, it's good that people help. Because like I said, it is not just Black folk that have to deal with the sacrifice of Black folk. You know what I'm saying? Just being around us seems to be a sacrifice. Like at some of the hospitals you've been to. You know what I mean? Look at the crime ridden areas that, like, hospital or nurses that have to kind of come to. And it's the struggle is just not the same in a rich neighborhood, So yeah, so anybody that comes, like the Asians, no matter what their background is, anybody that comes in and, like, sacrifices for our benefit, you know, that it's commendable, you know, and I do it. You know, there is some appreciation to be had there. So yeah, that I respect them, you know. So anywho, like I said, I don't want to turn this in 3 hours. So I'm gonna catch everybody on the flip side, man. I will definitely be uploading a video right after I finish this stream. And you can look forward to seeing that sometime in the afternoon tomorrow. It's definitely, again, it's going to be a video detailing my essential mission statement in this channel. And I think it's extremely dope. I literally can't stop watching it. Hope you watch it. I hope you all watch it at least like a quarter of the times that I watched it, which is probably like 2 or 3 times. Anyway, yeah, I can't say goodbye apparently. But anyway, yeah, man, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Know what I'm talking about? I ain't about to hold y'all forever. Oh, how do I do this? All right. Bam. It's been real, y'all.